Hello, in this video I'm going to be going through my submission for the Ubisoft Next 2022 Programming Challenge, where we were tasked to make a game reminiscent of Gravatar. For my game, I focused on a single scene, playing up the ideas of the ship being affected by gravity, as well as just the natural thrust of the spaceship, and the zoom in and out of the planet as you get closer, just to kind of get different views on the scene. In terms of enemies and different things you may encounter in the level, such as power-ups. I do have a couple set up here. They're both set up with factories, so if we wanted to add additional, say, some new enemy types, some new pickups, we can do that without having to affect the entire scene. And then controls are left stick to rotate left and right trigger to fire the thrusters to start moving, and then left trigger to fire your current weapon. So why don't we start the game? And here's our scene here. So we can see enemies and power-ups are randomly spawned in when we set up the scene, and then over time will slowly be added. The level's made up of individual line segments, so you can kind of adjust the setup of the level kind of however you want, and you can kind of the spawns will adapt to that. So you shouldn't have to worry about any spawns not working with a different level setup. So in terms of power-ups, we can see here we have our blue fuel, which I'll just head down. Note that gravity is getting stronger as I get closer to the planet, so you may see me do a couple more adjustments. So our blue increases my fuel, so we see it goes up by 500. I'm just going to get out of the way of this cannon here. And then our green power-up here is for a new weapon. So we see if I fire, it goes relatively fast, but then when I pick up this, we notice my rate of fire increased by a considerable margin. So I'm going to clear out some enemies so that make it easier. And then I can move away from the planet, and we notice it zooms out, gets smaller, as my ship does as well. And let me turn here, see if I can get in this little lip here meant to show off the kind of force of gravity. So you can go in here, and we'll notice as I get closer, gravity is going to start pulling me faster and faster as I get closer to the planet, and then your thrusters can kind of barely escape. As you get further, we notice that, there we go, it really kind of take off away from the planet. So it really plays up the idea of gravity, of the different enemy types, and then the objective is basically the same: collect fuel, try to get a high score. If your fuel is below 500, it will always spawn fuel. It'll never spawn these kind of point weapon boxes. So just to make sure that your fuel shouldn't run out as long as you're kind of keeping an eye on the planet. In terms of other gameplay setup, so yeah, as I mentioned, I'll just quickly pull up our ND. So I tried to structure everything with folders to kind of logically separate the code. We can see our planet. So right now, just made up of these different surface objects. So I kind of set it up to get a decent variation. You can set up kind of whatever you wanted with these as well. If we wanted to read these values from an external file, which was what I hoped to do, but didn't quite get there. But that's the idea in terms of if we wanted to keep scaling this out. And yeah, I hope you enjoy.